Hello guys, and welcome back to another Total War Warhammer 3 skill point guide video. I just want to take a few seconds here to say thank you guys again for all your support on the skill point guide videos and for letting me know what you guys think of them and dropping comments down below. It greatly is appreciated, and overall just thank you guys all for the support. It really does mean a lot. This kind of small hobby that I picked up is definitely becoming something more and more each day that I'm falling more and more in love with. So thank you guys for your support as we continue to grow the channel and we figure out more about Warhammer 3 as time goes on. Without further ado, let's jump in to the video today, which we will be going over the one and only and the infamous man himself, Karl Franz. Now, Karl's a little bit different from the other skill point guide for legendary lords in the game that we've talked about so far. Mainly in the fact that he doesn't have any skill points in his skill tree that make you kind of decide what you want over the other. Now he does have more than 49 skill points that you can essentially pick. However, most of them are pretty straightforward. It's not like one provides kind of like the Icket Claw video, where if he spends 1 point he gets regeneration, and the other hand he gets like more melee attack or weapon strength. He's a very kind of straightforward basic melee fighting legendary lord, but does have a few skills and kind of what I consider like the special skill tree for legendary lords here. But other than that, it's very basic, very straightforward, right to the point. So without further ado, let's just kind of go into what I recommend getting. Now, first and foremost, again, definitely get Root Marcher. Really good ability just to provide yourself with more campaign movement range. They're really good way just to be able to reach further on the campaign map, which again can never be undervalued in any campaign. However, after that, now you can kind of go a few routes after getting Root Marcher. You can either go full tilt into the blue line, you can go all hands on deck with the red line buffing your army, or you can just make him even stronger in melee. It's kind of dealer's choice into that regard. However, what I recommend doing is going down the red line a little bit at first and getting the pistol core ability. This will make your missile units a little stronger. Early on in the campaign, the best units, I would argue anyway, that the Empire have to offer are their missile units, whether you get handgunners, but even their basic archers early on in the campaign are really good units at dealing with the enemy, because you'll get a really good return of investment for those units compared to swordsmen, halberdiers, or even spearmen with shields. So,
I am Prince and Emperor.
Recommend getting that. Now after that though, it really unfortunately kind of is just personal preference, because there's no like, oh, you need to do this next, or you need to do that. Because with the Empire you can go a lot of different routes in terms of their armies, because you can do a missile and artillery based army, you can do single entities with the war wagons, steam tanks, or luminarchs. You can do great swords and demigryph knights. Like they have like a lot of units that are average at everything. Not one unit, kind of like the Skaven for example, have the weapons teams that are obviously better than their melee infantry. Everything in the Empire is just very sort of average. Nothing like drastically stands out. Their artillery is very good. If you're unfamiliar with the Empire roster, their artillery is very powerful, but other than that, it's very mediocre. Like, it's not bad, don't get me wrong, like their units are still good, but they're not just overwhelmingly overpowerful. And the non-single entities like the Hellstorm rocket batteries, the mortars, the Hell Blaster volley guns, they can't just be spammed in the army. They need something else in the army to make them work effectively. So typically what I end up doing after spending a few points into the red line, I'll actually go down his blue line a little bit until you unlock his special skill tree, which usually I end up putting points 1 or 3 into Reassuring Presence and then 1 into Fervent. The reason why I do this is because when playing as the Empire, you're going to be going up against a lot of corruption. You have Festus to the north here, that's going to cause a lot of Chaos corruption and Nurgle corruption. You're going to be fighting against the Vampire Counts a lot. You may end up even running into Icket Claw and Skaven corruption once you start confederating other Empire factions. Push north, you're going to run into more Skaven, more chaos. So it's just a really good way to prevent taking casualties and also reducing that corruption when Karl is in that province. But after that, I definitely recommend going down his skill line a little bit here. He's got some good abilities in here and buffs to his faction that come in pretty handy. The Best of the Empire is just a good way to increase that Lord Recruit rank. You get +1 recruit rank there, plus his faction mechanic provides 2, so you can automatically start recruiting lords at rank 3, which I can show here, which goes up to 4, but it's 3 skill points there.
I command here.
And then grabbing, it kind of depends what you want to do in terms of his army later on. Now, Reichsguard within Karl's army are pretty useful. You can buff their melee attack and bonus versus large with Imperial Special Forces here. His trait alone also will give them more charge bonus, and the passive ability Guardian, which just ends up giving Karl 15% physical resistance as long as he's within a 35-meter radius of a Reichsguard unit. But again, it kind of depends what you want to end up going with. A lot of times you'll end up going with like a lord, some heroes, missile units, and artillery. But that was pretty much the meta for the Empire in Warhammer 2. But since things have changed in Warhammer 3 in terms of melee infantry being a little more viable, you can definitely go play into kind of the thematic themes a little more in your campaign. So kind of wait towards the end, because again, you might end up deciding that nope, I need missiles and artillery over just kind of doing a theme typed army. But I do recommend getting Heroic Knightly Band and Majestic Enforcer, and then also an Emperor's Journey. Emperor's Journey just provides him with a little more weapon strength, but also makes him unbreakable. So you know, if it ends up being a really close fight, you don't have to worry about Karl breaking, because he's going to fight to the death for you there. So that's really handy. Heroic Knightly Band just increases your hero capacity and also recruit rank for Empire captains, which for the most part, I would say like 99.89999% of the time, anytime you can increase hero capacities, go for it. More heroes in your campaigns is never a bad thing. Definitely grab that when you can. And Majestic Enforcer is just a good way to provide some upkeep cost reduction for your army and also Lord Recruit rank. The reason why I picked those two over the other ones, again, is just because you may not end up using Reichsguard or Greatswords later on in your campaigns. And if you're unlike me, where I use the one button respec mod, if you don't use that mod, then once you spend that point into one of these skills, you won't get that back. So what I would recommend doing is just get these two at the early stages of the campaign, and then once your campaign progresses and you kind of decide, you know, what kind of army you actually want to put into his army, then decide, like, okay, we're going to get Reichsguard, let's put a point into Imperial Special Forces. That's also why in the red line I only put 3 points into Pistol Corps, because again, you can end up picking a variety of units for your army, so we want to leave that open for us to decide later on in the campaign. But after you kind of grab these initial points here, it really just becomes dealer choice. Now we have 36 points to spend, and once you unlock his Deathclaw mount, I definitely recommend getting Deathclaw. It's a really powerful mount, but because of that, I do recommend going down his melee line in its entirety. Just go ahead and grab everything. It's just going to make him tankier, going to make him harder to kill, and why not let him reach his fullest potential there. So definitely go down his melee line. As you can see, it's a pretty good... Sorry, my throat's been really dry today, and so I'm just sipping on some water here. But as you can see here, again, with no items other than the Dragon Tooth that he initially starts off with, his stats are pretty insane already. But then after his melee line, you still have a ton of points to spend. Now, other than, you know, kind of spending where you want it, I would recommend putting 3 points into Mentor and also grabbing Irrepressible. That way, in case Karl ends up taking loads of damage, you got a pretty healthy replenishment rate for him at 30% base here. And also, once he does reach, excuse me, once he does reach rank 50, that way you're sharing some of that experience that he would be gaining, and it's not going to waste there. Also grab Sigmar's Ward, extra missile resistance, especially once he is on a mount. Just provides him a little more resistance to base missile damage there. Anytime you can get missile resistance, physical resistance, it's a pretty good thing to grab there. But after that, what I would recommend getting is actually Quartermaster, and then after that, in terms of the blue line, it's just dealer's choice. I usually end up going with replenishment rate and then grabbing Headhunter. Just that way you're reducing your upkeep cost even further, but also providing yourself with more campaign movement range, which we've already talked about several times now, is definitely something awesome to get. But that way too, you're getting a negative 8% upkeep cost reduction there. Plus 9%, you're at 17%, and then here as well with Majestic Enforcer, another 10%. So you're already up to 27% upkeep cost reduction. And if you end up using Reichsguard or Greatswords, you're getting another 25% there. So you're almost at 50% reduction in terms of upkeep costs for your Reichsguard or Greatsword units. So just a really easy way to make them super cheap and affordable there. Now personally, I do like to get Reichsguard in his army just because melee infantry is a little more viable in Warhammer 3. So I would, recommend getting Imperial Special Forces and then going down his red line a little bit. Grab some more Speed of the Horse just to boost those Reichsguard again. Getting Rally, Taste for Battle just to give them more melee attack, melee defense, physical resistance, and then also getting Stand Your Ground. Now, one point that you can also get is Hold the Line. However, I'm fairly positive that the Empire captains can get that ability and those do not stack. So it's not necessarily essential that he gets that ability, because you can get other characters that can provide that there for you. But yeah, that is his skill tree. It's very basic, very straightforward, but nonetheless it does make him a very powerful legendary lord, and a powerful melee lord rather, at your disposal when you're playing as the Empire. But anyway, thank you guys for watching the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know down in the comments what you guys thought. If you guys end up putting points into other areas, whether you focus more on artillery or other melee units that you can use within the Empire, just let me know. I'm always, again, curious to know what you guys kind of go with in terms of how you recruit your lords and what units you recruit in your campaigns. But don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying the content, and I will see you guys again on the next video or live stream on the channel. And until then, I will see you guys later, and have a good one. Bye.